Bueno, bienvenidos y bienvenidas. Empezamos. Fran, te lo paso.
Okay, gracias, and thanks to everyone for being here with us. I'm Frank Quiroga, I'm the general coordinator of Concomitentes. Concomitentes is a non-profit entity in Spain, and we are part of European network that is called New Patrons or Nouvelle Commanditaire. And then this institution, how we work is we create works of art according to citizen desires. This is more or less our purpose or how we do the things. Now we are involved in the European project that is called Art Living Art for Sustainability. And then it was founded by European Commission. We are involved concomitentes, the delegation in Spain, the Nouvelle Commanditaire, new patrons in France, and the Nouvelle Commanditaire in Belgium. And then another institution that is called Atlantic Landscape International Center of Research, Fundación Daniela Nina Carasso, communal land in Couso, in the north of Spain, and the Flemish Land Society in Belgium. And then today this workshop is part of this European project, and more or less to try to, maybe in the beginning, we share our institutions, me, concomitentes, and the new patrons in Nouvelle Commanditaire in Belgium and France. We share the same protocol. This protocol was created by François Herz, artist, Belgian artist, in 1990. And thanks to this protocol, they create more than 500 works of art in Europe according of citizen desires. The idea of this protocol, in the purpose of this protocol, was try to democratize the art. It's not only, it's like who can be patrons of art, and then the citizen can be patrons of art. And then this is this methodology. Every country adapt this methodology according to the cultural question and political issues in each country, but we share this methodology. And then thanks to this know-how and this expertise is why we create this European project. And then in this European project, the idea of this is Art Living Art for Sustainability is try to focus in sustainability questions. And then we focus in Spain according to communal lands. And in the case of the communal lands in the north of Spain, there are a lot of communal lands in communal lands. And then we focus in Couso, that is a small mountain in Galicia. In the case of Belgium, we work with the idea of play commons, and then, but later Alicia is going to explain more exactly this case of studies, but only to summarize or do a little bit brief of this contest. And then in the case of France, we work with water commons. But the question is, and then we are going to do a living lab in these locations with these communities to try to know what the community wants, what the community desires, and if it desire can be collective, if the desire can be political. It's not a sum of a lot of desires. It's a collective desire. And then thanks to that, we create a draft, and then an artist has to respond, answer this collective desire in a piece of art. But the question in this case is, we know more or less, not exactly, the idea of nature-based solution. And this is the purpose of this workshop today. What is the meaning of nature-based solution? But in the project, in the Art Living Art for Sustainability, the idea is the artist has to create a nature-based artistic solution. And this is one of the core of the project is try to create a piece of art according of this idea, the nature-based solution. in a lot of fields, no, like enterprise or environmental issues, they are doing a lot of projects according to nature-based solutions. But the question is, how can put art in this idea? And then the idea of this workshop, thanks for Juan del Rio and Alicia, and that you are going to involve is try to think, not maybe create the answer of this, but at least try to think what is the meaning of nature-based artistic solution, and what happens if we put art in the idea of nature-based solution? It's only a question of aesthetic, or is something else? We can include the communities in this nature-based artistic solution, or knowledge about these communities. Is anything else than put the aesthetics in nature-based solution? We are going to talk in these 2 hours about that. And we are going to work in this case, no, in France, Spain, and Belgium, according to if we are able to create a nature-based artistic solution to answer about the environmental challenge that we are involved in this project. And then, no, it's only to put this framework. You can see, or well, you know, the website artlivinglab.ua, that you can see what we are doing and how are the projects going. And then I'm going to introduce Juan del Rio. Juan del Rio is going to help us to facilitate this workshop today. He's a facilitator, educator, and he loves arts too. And now is the director of Ecolis. Ecolis is a community-led initiative in climate change and sustainability. And then I think that we are going to do a perfect mix between climate sustainability, communities, and art, how we can, because we work in art organization, and thanks to this mix, I think that we can do a nice conversation in this workshop. And then thanks for being here on you, everybody.
Thanks to you, Franz. Thanks to everyone for being here. And also thanks, Alicia. The 3 of us, we have been preparing this session. I don't know, before we jump into the next part of the workshop, are you going to do your, are you going to use your slides, Fran, or that's it?
No, it's okay.
Okay,
No, I don't need it.
I just wanted to check. Great.
No.
So thank you, Fran. Thanks for the introduction. So well, I'm as Fran presented me, I'm Juan del Rio. I'm calling at the moment from Cardedeu, close to Barcelona. For the ones that you don't know, I think it's always very, very nice to be in this type of sessions where there's a lot of diversity and people from so many different places. So thanks so much, Concomitentes, Fran and Alicia, for inviting me to this workshop. I think it's a very nice experiment. While I really like art, I'm not an art specialist. I'm much more an environmentalist. I'm someone that has been developing community sustainability and climate action projects for almost 20 years in Spain and in different parts of Europe. What I call, for example, eco-social and regeneration transition processes. And I'm going to be talking a little bit about that, always with the idea of trying to connect these 2 sides, both art, but more the environmental side that I'm more expert about. But before going into that, I would like to invite you to do quick check-in. I think the way when you work about community engagement, nature-based solutions, and all the things that we're going to be talking today, I think it's not only about the content, but it's also about how we do it. And something very, very important is when you arrive to any new community or when you look at an ecosystem, is to try to understand who is there, which, I mean, in this case, this is a little community for these 2 hours. So I'd like to invite you to go to small groups, breakout groups, I will send you now. And I'd like you to do a quick check-in just to start to interact among you. I'm going to put in the chat 3 questions. These are the questions that I'd like you to explore when I put you there, when I send you to the breakout, which is first, who are you? Briefly. Then, what is something inspiring of your work currently? And if there's anything else that you want to share about what motivated you to come here today. Okay. And then after that, I will jump more into the content and the presentation. So let's please be mindful with the language, because I guess most of us are not English native speakers. So let's see how this evolves, but let's be mindful of that. And I'm going to send it to you. You will have 10 minutes. There will be groups of 2-3 people, more or less. Okay. So see you in a bit. And Fran and Alicia, you will be sent to those groups too. So see you now. Okay, you should see it now. See you in a bit. Okay, so welcome back. I hope it was good to break the ice a little bit and get to know each other. At the very beginning, I was talking with Alicia and Fran, and we realized that well, we had a lot of diversity in terms of participation, but also people that we didn't know, or that they didn't know, that they were not directly connected to the project, and we thought it was important to try to create spaces for interactions. So I guess everyone is here. We are recording back, and if that's okay, I'm going to start with a presentation. Okay, I'm going to share a bit of content. Then I will pass it to Alicia. She will share a bit more about a few examples. And then after that, we will have some space for Q&A and also for interaction in small groups. But I will let you know later. So 1 second, because I'm doing a few things, technical stuff. So let me share my screen. Okay. Okay. Can you please confirm me that you see it? Perfect.
Yes.
Great. Thank you so much. So let's go to it. So well, this is the title of the session of today's workshop: Nature-Based Solutions and Art, a Relationship to Explore. And this is the idea about, like Fran said at the very beginning, I'm not here to bring you the answer. That doesn't exist. There's many ways to explore this conversation. And I bring more, although I really like and I'm interested in art, I bring more the expertise from the nature-based and environmental side. So let's explore it together, okay, in the coming hour and a half, more or less. We will talk in this presentation, or I will focus basically like in 2 main things, and 3 main things. One, I will give a bit of context, because I think it's important, although probably most of you are aware of these things, to share a little bit of context of why this eco-social transition process, or regeneration, we can call it in different ways, is needed, okay? And because this needs to be at the core of what we do, both in ecological and social movements, but also in art in general. I think, as we will see, art is a key way to foster this type of processes. Then we will touch a little bit on nature-based solutions. What's nature? What do we mean by nature-based solutions? Principles, applications, examples, etc. Because nature-based solutions are, I'd say, something is one of the main strategies, not the only one, to try to foster this eco-social transition or regeneration. And then we will start touching a little bit on this interaction between nature-based solutions and art. I will share a few insights, ideas, but it will be kind of an introduction, and then I will share a few examples of how this is happening in some projects, to then pass it to Alicia to explore a little bit deeper a few examples, the ones that you are working at the moment on. So let's continue then. First of all, I think it's very, very important to understand that we are in a critical moment in human history. I don't know if you have heard about this concept of planetary boundaries. Probably many of you have done it already. But the thing is that humanity is at the root cause of overshooting, overpassing many of the current environmental and also social planetary boundaries. We are not talking only about climate emergency, we're talking also about biodiversity loss, for example. We are in what is called the sixth massive extinction at the moment. We're losing species quicker than in the Cretaceous, when the dinosaurs disappeared, for example. And like this, it happens the same with the land, with the air, with the water, with many of these things. No? So I think everyone that works in arts and in any field, I think they have ideally the responsibility, but well, they have the responsibility, but also the power to try to influence, and from their own field to try to act in these topics. No, so just to share briefly that clearly the tendency is towards getting worse and worse. You know, the planetary boundaries research is started in 2009. At that moment, 7 of these planetary boundaries were assessed. By planetary boundaries, I mean that they are interrelated boundaries. So if one of them is crossed, that means that has an effect in the others. In 23, we have already 9 boundaries assessed. That means that they can be quantified, and we know when can we cross that threshold, and this has been already crossed. Okay, so I'm not going to stop into much detail into this. You can look at the information, you can look at the Resilient Stockholm Center website, for example, where you can find all of this. But this is just to share with you that we have clearly scientific data that this is happening, you know, and this has a huge inertia, and well, this has a lot of impact, no? Another key point of this general context that I want to bring is that not everyone has the same level of responsibility. I think that seems quite obvious, but we often don't take that into account. The Overshoot Day is just kind of a campaign to show which is the day in which each of the countries crosses their own biophysical capacity. Okay, we know that we are using approximately, when we look at our ecological footprint, on average, almost 3 planets. But the way we use that energy, those materials, the way we destroy our ecosystems, it's very different, of course, depending on the country, depending on within the country too, no? Between the global south, the global north, and so on. So here you can just see an example. Okay, this is just to show you it's not so important exactly the day or when, but you see that in 2020, in Qatar, in February, they have already used all the resources that they could that they had in Qatar. So that means that they were basically stealing or using resources from other countries. That's what we do in our countries too. Okay, so this is key to take into account. How can we bring social justice, inclusion, and how can we bring the global south more into our work? So now I'm gonna share briefly this video with you. And maybe you know it too, but let's see.
From birth to puberty, a hamster doubles its weight each week. If it didn't stop when mature, as animals do, and continue to double, on its first birthday, we would be staring at a 9 billion ton hamster. This hamster could eat all of the corn produced annually worldwide in a single day and still be hungry. There is a reason why, in nature, things grow in size only to a certain point. So why do most economists and politicians think that the economy can grow forever and ever and ever?
Okay, so this is just very to the point, but it has a very strong idea, isn't it? That we humans, our society, our economy can continue growing forever. You know, it's like but that's kind of one of the fallacies that is embedded in our current paradigm, that without growth, without economic growth, and that means also an increase in energy and materials consumption, and also that's directly connected, as we said before, with social injustice, we can't be happy, or we can't evolve, or we can't progress, or we can. So that's clearly something that we need to change in our narratives. Okay, and that's in the root of okay, that's in the root of our current polycrisis, let's say. Another thing, another important topic to take into account is which are the root causes of our current situation. Okay, and all of this can be also maybe inspiring for you when you do art, because maybe you can focus on some of these root causes. No, so when we talk about gender inequality, about I don't know, biodiversity loss, about anything that has to do with ecological crisis, social, economic, and spiritual, and democracy crisis, the root of all of that, it has to do with our culture, with our paradigm, with the values and beliefs and narratives that are behind. It has to do with patriarchy, it has to do with capitalism, it has to do with this culture of expansion, no, and continuous growth. So we need to understand well which are our root causes if we want to transform our system. If you look at this graph, you can imagine yourself at the very top of this mountain where it says climax, or maybe even starting to go down a little bit. Okay, this means that I'm not going to talk much about the past, but it's clear that in the past 10,000 years, more or less, since we were able to domesticate animals and plants, we were able to settle, and we were able to start to grow more as humanity. But it was mainly with the Industrial Revolution, where we started to use coal and then oil, gas, and so on, that we were able to multiply and have a huge impact in humanity. That's why some geologists, they talk that today we live in the Anthropocene. I'm sure you have heard about that. So the thing is that right now, 8,000 billion, or 8 billion people in the world. What happened in the future? Which are the future scenarios? This is just to try to imagine how it could be, but in any case, it's about to predict it, because we can't. That's impossible due to the complexity. But the thing is that if we look at how television, movies, books, etc., try to explain the future, they tend to bring two different imaginaries. And I think this is also very important when we do any type of, I don't know, artistic activity or work, which is to try to bring new narratives that are different to the ones that they tend to bring. And normally the most common narratives are either a techno-optimistic techno-explosion, where basically science and technology will be able to save everything. We don't need to do anything. Someone will find a solution and we will be living in Mars, in other countries, we'll be continuing doing the same patterns, the same things that we do now, or basically that we will collapse and there's not going to be any possibility to find a way to move forward. No, what I'd say on this is that a techno-optimistic solution that will allow us to continue growing forever is a fallacy. That's not biophysically possible. That doesn't mean that in some specific places, you know, very rich people may try to continue doing that or will continue doing that, but that's clearly not possible for everyone. And collapse, I'd say that we, on the one hand, we need to demystify the word collapse, because basically it means to decrease the level of complexity of a system in a quick way. But collapse is happening in many ways already. Okay, our society is in many aspects also collapsing. But collapse is something that is feasible. It's something that it may happen, but it's not desirable, clearly. So in between, there are other possibilities. In the 80s, 70s, 80s, we have the technology and we have the knowledge to really develop other type of narratives, you know, physically, to do another type of transition. But this techno stability was clearly much more feasible, and that's based on digital work, on renewable energies and so on. It was much more feasible. We have started in the 80s, 70s, 80s, 60s, yeah, maybe 70s. But now, I don't know if that's really possible. What many different movements, initiatives are working for is this creative energy descent. It's kind of a degrowth in terms of consumption and use of materials, but a growth in other types of things. You know, a growth in connection with nature, a growth in I don't know, more connection with people, in less stress, in going towards economies that are more local, etc. And these are the type of alternatives that, for example, we're trying to foster or support in Ecolis, or the degrowth movement, or the eco-villages, the permaculture movement, social and solidarity economy, many different movements, and nature-based solutions are also aligned to this. Okay, so we were talking about nature-based solutions, and it's aligned to this. There are different concepts that I'm sure you have heard of, and I want to mention. I mean, I've started to mention some of them. All of them are different, but are complementary, and I think it's important to understand that they are not synonyms, but are part of all these type of work. When we talk about sustainability, for example, I'm going to go very quick on this, but when we talk on sustainability, we mean about sustaining. We mean maintaining something. And maybe 20, 30, 40 years ago, that could have been enough. But clearly right now, that's not enough. There are certain ecosystems, certain certain communities that we should sustain them for sure. But that's not enough. Resilience. By resilience, we mean the capacity to adapt to the shocks that they come from the outside. No, when we talk about climate adaptation, we mean to adapt to these shocks. So resilience is something key. It's a property of any system, and we need our ecosystems and our communities, and we as humans, to be more resilient. So that's something basic. Then we need regeneration, because we need to regenerate our forests, our seas, our oceans. We need to I mean, deforestation, the Amazon and is disappearing, you know. So we really need to do a lot to regenerating our ecosystems, and nature-based solutions are very linked to that. Then we talk about transition into something different and to transform what we're doing. And part of that is also the commons, that is very linked to the project that you are developing, because we talk about commons and nature-based solutions. When we talk about commons, we talk about all these systems that they provide us with services, and they shouldn't be private, and we will be there just regenerating them, you know, and supporting them. We're part of that nature. We're part of those commons, you know. And before jumping to nature-based solutions in detail, I like also to bring this element, which is very important in any eco-social transition process, which is to try to bring these 3 dimensions. And I think they're also very important to any project that you try to develop. In the transition movement, we talk a lot about the head, heart, and hands. And by this, I mean, head is try to work on the basis of the best information, to bring the scientific information, data, and not try to, I don't know, believe just on, well, on information that is it's not real. When they talk about chemtrails, or when they talk, you know, about other type of, I'm maybe not finding the word now, but you know, there's a lot of noise, you know, a lot of information moving around, but not all of that. It's a good base to start our work. Okay, so I think that's very important. The heart, this is about engaging with the community. This is about building human relationships. This is about dealing with the emotional side of what is going on in the world, and also with our work. And it's about dealing with tensions and conflicts in our communities and our projects. That's very key. And about hands is about trying to manifest physically all of this into the world, try to make something real. We can't stay only into the ideas. We need to make this happen. Okay. So yeah, and also on this, yeah, I didn't share this before. So we need to create new values and beliefs. You know, I mean, or create or to foster, because they are there, but maybe they are not so. They're not the ones in the main ones in the current paradigm. When you see, for example, the world map like this, you may say quickly, oh, no, but this is turned around. We should change it. But why? It's us, the ones that we decided that it should be in one way or another. That's a cultural, social construction, you know. So why do we believe that the north is in the north and the south is in the south? This is because we say it. So we can change that, and I think this is about having more creativity. We live in a moment where we lack imagination, you know. For example, in our current paradigm, it's like if everything is economy, we talk about economy the whole time, and society and then environment is part of the economy and is there to be used only for our economy. But no, not at all. We are part of nature, we are part of the environment, then the society is part of that planet, of that earth, and economy is just a way to manage that society. Okay, so I think try to break all these narratives is very important. And these are just a few examples of people that is trying to work on these new narratives of possibility. Because if I would ask you, which movies do you know, for example, that they talk about other type of alternatives, I'm sure it will be difficult for you to find these ones, isn't it? I'm sure you know many movies of you know of starships that they go wherever in the universe, or movies where I don't know, a huge storm or a meteorite will arrive and will destroy the planet. But we don't have many new stories, isn't it? That they are feasible, but they are also exciting and appealing and interesting. So, and I think we really need to focus on this, on building these new stories. So here I've just put a few examples, but in Spain there's someone that creates cartoons, that is called Miguel Brieva, that if you don't know it, I really recommend it to you. And this is just an image made by him. Then there's a book from What Is to What If, from Rob Hopkins, that I really recommend it to you, which is about unleashing the power of imagination. And then what I've put it here is the poster of a documentary that I'm the co-director. And this is the documentary that tries to map and show local community alternatives that they are working to bring these, these new narratives. And they're working on everyday life things and always trying to be connected with nature. So what is clear for us is that the art is a powerful way to foster eco-social transition and regeneration. Okay, and I will touch a little bit more into nature-based solutions now, but because art, as you perfectly know, is a way to touch on emotional connection and empathy. It's also a very good way to raise awareness. For example, Extinction Rebellion that you may know, they have been using art very, very well to raise awareness about the current situation of the world. You see here a few pictures. Well, here there's a picture of an urban garden, in Madrid. So all these different graffitis and all this art, it makes it more beautiful, more appealing, more interesting, more attractive, Then art is also a very powerful way to well, to support these cultural transformations and value shifts, these new narratives that I was saying, and also to transform both spaces and systems. Okay. So I'm not taking some time, but now I'm gonna talk a little bit about specifically about nature-based solutions. I've touched a little bit on that in a more general way, but what do we mean by nature-based solutions? I think that the term is quite descriptive, because we talk about nature and we talk about solutions. But following the most standard definition, nature-based solutions are these strategies or approaches that are inspired by nature, they utilize nature to address different social and environmental challenges. Okay, we talk about climate change, biodiversity loss, water pollution. I mean, many of the things that I've already mentioned, and they are they try to be always cost effective and to provide different types of benefits at social, economical, and also environmental way. When we talk about reusing materials, when we talk about solutions that are financially viable, but also are engaging with community, but are environmentally friendly, they try to be these simultaneously positive at many levels, no? And some of the key, well, when I write NBS, because NBS is nature-based solution, this is a way to write it shortly. Nature-based solution has a certain level of set principles. The first one is that is based approach, ecosystem-based approach. That means that tries to prioritize conservation, restoration, sustainable management of the ecosystems, and try to provide benefits for both the people and the environment and the planet. It tries to integrate nature processes. You may have heard about biomimicry, for example. So biomimicry is about trying to imitate, to mimic the way in which nature synergizes different natural processes, for example, such, I don't know, filtration by the wetlands, or carbon sequestration by the forest, or flood regulation by natural vegetation. So it's about integrating the different natural processes. It brings, as I've said before, multiple benefits. Well, because it can include biodiversity conservation, climate change adaptation and mitigation, social well-being, etc. Very important is about building resilience and adaptability, because nature-based solutions should be designed always to enhance that resilience. That imagine, for example, when we have a drought right now in the Mediterranean, isn't raining a lot, no? So if you have nature-based solutions that try to connect with species that are adapted to that type of weather, or species that try to bring water to the ecosystem, well, that's a way to adapt to this situation and become more resilient. This sociological approach, the interconnectedness between the social and ecological systems, and finally, and very important, the participatory governance. Nature-based solution always want to connect the social and the nature aspect and engage community into decision-making processes that are connected to that solution concretely. I've already mentioned some of the applications, but just to try to summarize, by the way, I'm putting in the presentation that I will share with you some links to some of these specific studies that are some of the most relevant studies. So you will be able to, okay, download it, because I don't have time like to really dive too deep into this, but you will. Some of the applications, there are many, but some are very clear in urban planning and design, for example. Integrating this type of nature-based solution can help us to create sustainable, resilient, and livable cities. Like, for example, with, I don't know, green spaces, etc. Climate change adaptation, that's something I've mentioned before, but is clear. For example, we will need to adapt with the sea level rise, or with extreme weather events, or changes in precipitation patterns, as I've mentioned before. So this will be, nature-based solution will be very important, are already very important on this. You have already seen, for example, the difference in cities or neighborhoods that have a lot of trees and cities or neighborhoods that they don't have any tree. You know, it's completely different in terms of the weather. You know, the ecosystems that you create are completely different. And then, well, also, because I don't want to take too long, the agricultural land management, and also the disaster risk reduction, for example. No? Examples, there are many. There are many different examples of nature-based solution, but well, just sharing a few with you. Green infrastructure, green roofs, permeable pavements, urban parks that mimic nature, to manage stormwater, for example, to reduce urban heat, island effects, as I was saying now, to enhance biodiversity. I don't know you, but I feel healthier, more energized. I feel happier if I live in an environment, in a city, in a place that is connected to nature, that it brings all of that. You know? So I think that's clearly important to foster the well-being of all of us. For example, repairing and restoration, everything that has to do with restoring the degraded riverbanks, or agroforestry, to integrate the trees and shrubs into the agricultural landscapes, you know, to enhance soil fertility, biodiversity, not only monocultures, you know, as we have. And we can do that in a very aesthetic way too. Coastal wetland restoration, natural flood management. Well, I've already mentioned a little bit all of those. Here you have also some examples with some pictures, you know, where nature-based solutions are there, you know, in some water ponds, with food gardens, with urban forestry, permeable pavements, pollinator gardens, etc. So what about the relationship between nature-based solutions and art? And here we start the exploration, okay? Something that I hope we can explore in the second half of the session. I will talk a little bit about this, but then we will have some space for conversation and small groups and so on. So the nature-based solutions and art is, in my opinion, a dynamic and multifaceted relationship. Nature-based solutions are mainly focused on utilizing and connecting with natural processes to address different social and environmental challenges. And art, and you are more experts in art than I, play a crucial role in promoting, making visible, inspire, inspire to action, to what we can do. So I think these are some of the key interactions that I see between art and nature-based solutions. For example, art can clearly serve as a very powerful medium to communicate and improve nature-based solutions, and raise awareness to these environmental issues through visual arts, through performances, installations, many different types of creative expressions, and we will look at some examples later. Nature-based solution principles that emphasize innovation, adaptation, that work with nature can inspire artists to explore many different topics. The way in which they use materials, different techniques in their work, natural patterns, ecosystems, processes, I think can be very inspiring for artists also. Then site-specific installations. I think artists can create installations that are in a concrete specific place and integrate nature-based solutions in the way they build the environment, enhancing the functionality, the aesthetics, the ecological value of public spaces. You can incorporate green infrastructure, natural materials, sustainable design features. I don't know, many different of the patterns of nature-based solutions. Another of the key connections, I think, is cultural cultural connection and identity, because the artistic expressions there that are rooted in local cultural tradition and heritage, they help foster a deeper connection with nature and also to promote indigenous knowledge and practices. For example, I don't know, through storytelling, music, dance, art, visuals, there's a lot of things in which artists can celebrate the intrinsic value of nature and the connection with that specific territory. Okay. And then I'd say also through innovation and experimentation. Artists can serve of innovators and I mean, artists are innovators and visionaries in many ways, are bringing what I've said before that we're lacking about creativity and imagination. Art is there, starting to provoke that, to bring that. And they can really push these boundaries of creativity and explore new approaches to use nature-based solutions in their own places, no? I mean, how can we apply nature-based solutions to art? So here are a few ideas to start the conversation and start exploring them. By theme and concept, for example, you could choose themes that celebrate nature, biodiversity, and sustainable living. Base your art on ecosystems, natural cycles, or in the interconnectedness of all living things. Very, very important with the materials. You can use materials that are eco-friendly or materials that are recycled, reused, natural pigments, explore, I don't know, unconventional materials found in nature. We will see a few examples just right now, and also I'm sure the examples that you're developing. Techniques, so again, techniques inspired by nature, like organic shapes, patterns, textures, well, different types of nature-inspired techniques, interactive installations that engage with viewers, that engage with the nature world, that promote awareness of connection to the environment and the community. And while site-specific art, as mentioned before, performance art, well, performances that embody natural movements or rhythms that are reflecting the cycles of nature. They use dance, music, theater to convey messages about environmental conservation, community engagement. I mean, there are many. I just don't want to take too long, but community engagement, it's key. I mean, when I talk about nature-based solutions, I'm trying to bring an approach that is not very technical now, because I think it's the one that we need in this specific workshop. And by nature-based solution, I also include community engagement, the social aspect. We are nature, okay? So it's not only about the plants and the animals, but it's also about us as part of that nature. Okay, so community engagement is key when we engage the community into our artistic processes and projects. We are also talking about nature-based solutions. Okay, that's what I want to mean. So involve the community into the creation process of the art, of whatever we are developing, to foster a sense of collective responsibility, etc. I think that's key, the participation. Then also we can use the digital arts and even the augmented reality for that. I'm not clearly an expert into that, but that's part of the new artistic threads that are clearly developing, and the artistic activism, as I've shared before with Extinction Rebellion, for example. No, I think when you want, for example, to engage with the community, if they like what they see, if they see it's beautiful, it's appealing, makes you feel good with that, then clearly you want to be part of that. No? And I think art has a key role into that. Okay, so I'm going to show you just a few examples before I finish. I'm sure you may know some of them because some of them are like well-known artists, others not. And for example, there's this Andy Goldsworthy that creates temporary sculptures with natural materials like stones, leaves, branches, and he works to reflect the transient nature of the environment. Okay, and well, here you can see just a few of the pieces that he developed. There are many, and they are very beautiful. For example, we have Chris Jordan's that among the different pieces that he developed this one that I think is very interesting, is running the numbers. And if you see, he developed this picture, you know, that you see the wave, but then if you go to the detail, with this large scale, this is a very large scale photograph, okay, the one of the wave. Then if you go to the detail, you can see that everything is done with plastics, with recycled plastics that they come from the sea. You know, so I think that's very, very powerful. Then we have this one, for example. I mean, I didn't know this one specifically. I didn't know it before, and I just found it researching. But I think it's very, very interesting. In New York, this installation where this specific artist, Agnes, she was able to brew, to cultivate a wheat field that is there just in New York, you know. So then she was, you know, like bringing nature into New York, and she was, well, making different videos, pictures, and so on. And I think it was very, I mean, it's very powerful. You see the skyscrapers, you know. I mean, you see even the twin towers that they don't exist anymore because that was made in the 90s, I think. Well, a few more quick examples. So this one, the green graffiti, for example, this is another type of installation. This is made by Edina Tokodi. Example. Then you have vertical gardens and permaculture mandalas. You know, you can play a lot with everything that is connected with plants, with food, and so on. Some of them, you know them because I'm sure you have this dog that is in the Guggenheim in Bilbao, in the Guggenheim Museum, or the other vertical garden that you see on top is in Madrid, in the city center, for example. And these are, for example, some examples that are some pictures of something that is much more connected to community. This is specifically in a little village in the south of Spain, in Almocita and Almeria. And you can see how they use the art all over the village to promote community building and connection to nature. Okay, this is part also of the documentary that I did, and it's taken from there. So I'm going to start with this sentence, this presentation, which is, it summarizes very well the film that I developed. That is called Alternativas, Building Possible Futures. This sentence is in Spanish, but I'm going to translate it now. It's an African proverb that it says, a lot of little people in a lot of little places, doing a lot of little things, can change the world. Okay? And art can really support these little things happening and spread all of this, this creation of a new narrative. So here you have just my contact. If in case you want, you will have this presentation at the end, and a few more links. Okay, so I'm going to stop here for now. I know it took longer, but I hope it was interesting for all of you. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. One moment, and I'm going to pass it to you, Alicia.
Okay.
So over to you.
Okay, I'm going to start sharing my screen. Okay, you can see it, right?
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay, so I'm going to be sharing with you some of the local context in which we are working, just to give you some ideas about what are we doing and how we are addressing these environmental challenges through cultural participatory processes, which is what we do through our methodology, as Fran explained at the very beginning of the session. First of all, I want to say that in this meeting we have most of our local partners. As you know, this is a European project, and we are a consortium made up of associations from Belgium and of France, and we concomitants from Spain. So we have here Chiara, Astrid, Teresa, Amanda, and also Valerie from these different associations. And the second thing I want to point out is that this is an ongoing process. The project started 1 year ago, and we have 1 more year to finish these initiatives. So we are now in the middle of the process. We are starting to work with the different artists in these processes. And that is why we are only going to present the different challenges that we have in the different local contexts, but we can share with you the artistic proposals, because we are now at the moment of the development, but we will be sharing the different names of the artists we are working with. So I'm going to briefly present these different places, but I want to say that we work with this idea of narratives that Juan has explained really good. The idea of our project is to change the local narratives, and through art try to provide good examples and ideas of what we can do together along with the communities of these cities, towns, and small communities. So as Fran said at the very beginning, we are working in this different context. We are working in Boom, Flanders, Belgium, through the idea of clay commons, in Galicia, in the coast of woodland, under the idea of land commons and land management, and in Haut-Jura Natural Park in France, under the idea of the management of water and the water commons. Okay, In the case of Belgium, our mediator, Astrid Boubert, is working in this small industrial town named Boom, which is located around 30 minutes away from the capital. Astrid, as I said, it is here, so you have any questions, maybe you can talk with her, or you have talked with her before at the very beginning of the session, and maybe you can ask her some questions, or yeah, about the process, as she will explain better. In this town, we are working with a diverse group of Boom residents. It's a group of about 10 people, very committed to improve their local context. And we have from public workers to former factory workers. I don't know if you know this town. Maybe if you are from Belgium, you do so. But if not, it was an economical booming town during the 19th century and the first half of the 20th century, thanks to the clay industry for the production, especially of construction materials. The landscape of this area was very well recognized by the chimneys and the smoke, as in many industrial places. And despite being a very rich city thanks to the industry in that days, Boom became a very polluted area because of the exploitation of clay. Over the years, this industry began to disappear, leaving only one factory open today. And also because of that, the economy also began to decline, and Boom became a very impoverished area. Now, with this group of commissioners, which is how we call these citizen groups, which get involved in this kind of processes, and through this participatory process that Astrid and the Belgium team have been developing this first year, they are starting to work with the artist Bosco Sodi to create an artwork which reflects and pays tribute to clay, to this industry, while also thinking about more sustainable futures for their environment. In the case of Galicia, in the northwest of Spain, we are working under this idea of woodland management because in Galicia there are currently 2,800 woodlands, which is almost the quarter part of the area in this community. And we are working with a community that lives in a communally managed woodland. This community who inhabits this woodland are the ones who decide about how the territory is managed. And this is a very particular collective management model that is present in the north of Spain. The people who live in this area are the only ones allowed to decide how the woodland is managed. The territory is not private, it doesn't belong to a particular person, but it's communal. It means that as long as you live there, you can decide over the way that the woodland is managed, or how the territory is exploited, etc. The whole community of this woodland, which is around 84 people, is very involved in this process that we are developing there with the mediator Natalia Balseiro. But we have a very strong group of 30 people, which are the ones that are more involved in the project. So with them, that they were already developing several activities before our arrival, of course, they have created educational activities and cultural activities to maintain the forest. With them, we have decided that the priority of this project is to make visible their way of life, because they are very worried about the population, and they want to make this way of life attractive for new generations. So together with the artist Asunción Molinos Gordo, they will develop a piece of art in any kind of format. We can't say at this point, as I already said. But they want to raise awareness about the importance of maintaining this way of communal management of the land, and to continue their project for the coming years. In the case of France, we are working, as I said, in this natural park, which is in the border between France and Switzerland. And the park is one of the main nature reserves in France nowadays. As in many other places, climate change is causing the desertification of this territory. In the Ahondó Regional Park, the water was a very important resource. There were many lakes, and it was one of the main water resources of the area. But nowadays, the only water that you can find is underground. So here, with the work of Valérie Coudel, who is also joining us today, they are working with a very diverse group made of people who inhabit this territory, especially park workers, neighbors, but also scientists and specifically speleologists who go very usually to the park. And they're going to create an artwork about this situation, because the water problem in the territory is already affecting not only the landscape, which is something obvious, the landscape has completely changed, but also it's affecting the communities that inhabit the area, because this water was their main water resource. So along with the artistic collective Disnovation, they are going to group, the group has decided to focus in the idea of address this problem through the idea of the sensory and the idea of the symbolic, and they want to make the water, which is no longer visible, become visible again through this artistic proposal. So these are our three case of studies. I would like to ask you to follow us, especially in social networks, because that's our main way to share the information and the news about the project. But also when you decided to come to this training today, we collected your email. So if you agreed for us to keep in touch with you, we will try to include you in our newsletter to share with you the news about the project and more information. And for us, it's very important, this training, because we decided to do it open for you to join us also. But for us, it's very important because we want to try to include these nature-based solutions as better as we can in this kind of artistic pieces that we are developing now. So Juan, I think that now we are going to do other dynamics together so we can think about this, but I give you the floor again back.
Thank you so much, Alicia. For me, it has also been very interesting because I'm maybe some of you don't know, but I'm not working specifically in that project, so I think it has been very useful for me. So I think we have been speaking a lot above all myself, and I think it would be very nice to go to the next phase and have some space for conversation, some space for discussion. We are right now 23 people in the room, and I'd like to ask you, first of all, if you could give me just a thumbs up, or can you share, like this, you can share me a little bit how you're doing now. If after more than an hour you are doing fine, like this, it means that you're super energetic, like this is no in between, just to see if we need a very short break or not, or we move. Do we move forward? Yeah, are you ready?
Juan, I want to say that Pablo told us, Pablo Bernaldez, that he's in a public library and he has some connection problems. So when doing the dynamics with other people, he can't speak or put his camera on. So if we are going to do groups again, do not include him because he won't be able to speak or, yeah.
Thank you so much for that, Alicia. Okay, so what I would say is that because we have 40 minutes left, let's continue. And if someone needs like a short bio break or something like that, please do it. Okay, let's take care of ourselves. We don't need to be here the whole time. If not, I think it's something that we already know, but it's also good if someone shares that. So instead of opening kind of a space for everyone to talk at the moment, we will have that space in the last part. But I'd like to invite you to go to small groups again. I'm gonna make a proposal. I'm gonna put it on the chat, and I'm gonna explain it. So I'd like, in this case, the groups, there will be groups about 5 people, so a little bit bigger than before. And the idea, it would be that you try to, inspired by your own work and by what we have already discussed and shared, and myself, Fran, Alicia, that you try to discuss a little bit further into which are the synergies and connections between art and nature-based solutions to foster this transformation, this change, and how can that connect also with your current work, and how can you involve community into that? So I would just send you to these small groups. You will be there about 15 minutes, and then we will come back. Okay? And we will then exchange a little bit, and we'll have some space for questions. So any question, any clarification question, any comments? Okay, so then I think it's good. I will be in the main room, but I will be moving also from different rooms. Okay, so I may appear and disappear in some of you, just to check how it goes. Let me check one more. No, we are 20. Okay, we have less people now, so I'm gonna make, just want to be sure that, okay, and I'm gonna send, sorry, because this takes a little bit of time sometimes. Okay, so let's go. Okay, so everyone is back. I'm recording again. So welcome back. I hope you had fruitful conversation. I know it was relatively short, and this type of conversation, wow, can be very inspiring. But at least it was a bit the beginning. I was doing some technical things and moving between rooms. I couldn't visit all the rooms, but I hope it was very good. So now we have space before the last minutes for the closing. We have like 15 minutes to debrief a little bit, to share a few, to make a few questions, also comments. We had 4 groups. I don't know if maybe 1 or 2 people from each of the groups could share 1 minute to summarize, like the key insights of each of the conversations. That would be good. I think would be interesting for everyone. Yeah, Pablo? Okay. So who would like to start? For example, from the first group that it had Alicia, Chiara, Joe, Teresa, and Valerie. Someone from that group?
I can talk about what we were talking about.
Go ahead, if you can summarize
We
it.
were, it's actually funny because we all knew each other already, and we just Joanna. So we were listening to, she was just introducing what she's doing, and it was really interesting, first of all, but then really pertinent also because me and Valerie were really intrigued about this invisibility work put visible in her work, and I think it also deals with this nature-based solution, especially in the part of communication and awareness, because of course art can be an awareness tool, and it's difficult to talk about things that either we don't see because they're hidden in nature, either we don't want to see socially for obvious reasons. So, but we were just starting, and then, as you said, it was short. We were getting to, oh, really interesting. What do you do? I do this, and it can work like this, and voila, it could bloom, but that was it. Oh, and now the thing is says that I changed language. Now I'm still speaking English.
No, don't worry. I think that's some. Don't worry. Zoom has different features, and sometimes they try to detect your language.
That was it. So I guess that was the subject who could emerge from our conversation.
Thank you, Chiara. I don't know if someone else from that group wants to complement or say anything else, and if not, we will move. Yes, I want to let the opportunity for that. Okay. So then let's go to the second group. There was a group with Astrid, Marenka, Sarah, and Yolanda. So someone from that group that you would like to share a few insights? Go Sarah or Astrid or Marenka. I don't know. Marenka was already sharing before.
Yeah, sorry. Maybe I can start and someone else takes it from there. We had, I think, two ways we were discussing. One was how art is a kind of a mediator, or also a way of maybe showing natural causes and different processes that are on discussion at the moment, water, pollution, different aspects that are maybe under threat, and how art can, in a way, simplify or talk about it so that people that are not from the field, no scientists, for example, also have a connection to these topics. This was one thread we were going down, and the other one was like how to include different communities and who we think are excluded. Maybe someone else from the group wants to continue with that.
Astrid or Sarah, or I don't know.
You mean with the, we talked about even, for the exclusion that it's, I mean, that, for example, the way concomitantes and the new opdrachtgevers and nouveau commanditaire work, that we include, try to include a bigger group so that we turn the way of working around, so that we start from the desire and the question and the issue or that is present. And about how museums can also try maybe work on that kind of thing. So that's what we're also talking about. And that even though we try to include as many people as possible, it's always that you still have a kind of exclusion. But then it's good to be aware of the fact that we try to do it and we try to initiate the, oh, now it's doing the same as with Chiara. Now it's saying that I speak Spanish, but so no, okay.
Clearly not, Astrid. I don't know.
So kind of that we can discuss that as well. And it's interesting because Sarah told a story about an older man, I think he was 97 years old, and that he went to the museum. Well, if you can please elaborate more, Sarah, because I thought was a beautiful, I thought it was a nice story.
Okay, he went to the Guggenheim. He lived all his life working in the field here in Galicia, and he went to the Guggenheim. He went to the museum, and he told me that he didn't understand anything, but he was outside watching the puppy, and he understood everything because flowers and plants, he understood that. So I think it's important including all people, and they have a different relationship with nature, and we have to learn how they relate to that.
Yeah, such a good story.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Sarah. So let's go, because time is running fast. Let's go to the third group. I mean, we have two groups left, so whoever wants to jump from any of the two groups. I don't know, maybe Fran or Alicia or Lucia. Whoever wants to go.
As we were talking about that it's not only important more than the superficial things. What is more important when we talk about nature-based solutions is more the deeper things, more the background. Like if we make a project that where we only use materials, nature materials, but the background is finally, as Jasmine she said, with an Anthropocene approach, the same point. So I think that is very important to be conscious of what is the background, what is the starter point. I don't know if Jasmine want to say something else.
Yeah, I think we were talking about how to kind of what could be artistic approaches that really imply the engagement and social part that is key to nature-based solutions, and not to kind of mistake things, or to make also a difference between, which is also an important topic, but of art production without with zero carbon emissions, or to kind of like see what we are exactly talking about, and not to assume that what is using nature is also about implying a change of now it does the same thing with me here too. It implies change in our habits and habits of thinking and habits of acting. So not to be mistaken by nature as material, probably, which has of course also its history in artistic practices. So.
Thank you so much.
I don't know if
Please, Sam.
No, it's because sometimes I feel a little bit worried, because for try to get the solutions of nature-based solution is like it's only for engineering studies, for engineers. No, and then if we are in this time, if we are in this paradigm, is thanks to the engineering or positive science. Because maybe 80 years ago or 100 years ago, the community were involved with their land and their environment in another way. And then the positive science say, no. This is not the way of get progress of the community or to increase the economy. And then they say, okay, we have to spend the money doing a lot of streets, bridges, and everything, and work and build, and a lot of stuff. And then they change the way how we live together. And then now, this community were against of this the progress, the idea of progress. And then now we have to change and then look for this kind of solution of this community. But again, they are going to be this engineering, this kind of paradigms, and then for me is why always they are in the in the center of the process. Why we don't change, why the community, because the community can say something. And I think that we need to talk with this community. I try to look for with the community, the community and other experts, but with the community in the center to try to look for the solution, because I think that we are more power, to try to know what we need. And then it's a pity. For me, always the answer is only for engineering meanings.
Thank you, Fran. Thank you. I think that's important. Well, I've said at the very beginning that I wouldn't be, for example, talking much about technical solutions, but much more about the social and community aspect of the process, which I think is key and is connected to what you said. We don't have so much time left. There's one group that didn't, I think you were from that other group, Fran, I'm not sure, but is someone else that wants to share I mean, someone from the last group that wants to share something?
Maybe Irene, I don't know if you want to tell.
Just a few words from anything apart, anything new? No, that's fine. Okay, Irene. So, well, I'm aware that we don't have so much time, but we still have a few minutes for any last comment, question before we close. This is kind of we're starting to wrapping up, and maybe someone that hasn't shared anything, someone that wants to, I don't know, make any question or share a comment, suggestion, whatever. Everything is welcome.
My question would be, are you going to run more workshops? Because it seems to be an interesting way to provide information, but also to allow people who wouldn't necessarily be able to establish a network to network, or to be able to become aware of these projects. I knew about concomitantes, but I didn't, and I knew a little bit about the consortium, but to me, it's been really interesting as a way to actually be able to put people, and a bit like we're like chemicals, we need to be able to bond to people. So whether or not there are more workshops planned.
Good question,
Yeah.
Fran.
Yeah. What is that? The next workshop, the next online workshop, it will be about the relations, how we can archive relations, because sometimes we archive art objects, no? And then there are a lot of objects, art, no? Museums archive objects. But if we put this in the center, relations, no? As we say, this is according to relations, engaging community, how the community thinks together, how we can see or what the relations, what we create, or at least try to know how we can put in the center of the process the relations. And then workshop will be soon. I don't know exactly we don't know exactly the date, but we'll send you information about this workshop, how to archive relations. And then in the end of the process, we are going to do a workshop in Belgium, to try to know what we did according to this piece of art, and try to think together about the meaning of the risk and challenge about nature-based artistic solution, and try to see what at the end what we did in this communal lands.
Thank you. Go, Valerie.
Yeah, we won't organize a workshop in itself. The time, I think, of the inauguration of the work with this innovation, but we would like to plan a meeting with scientists, because this group, this collective, really works with different kind of people, philosophers, scientists, and then they really want to cross again all these fields. So we might organize a kind of, it won't be a seminar, but a kind of lecture or meetings at the moment of the inauguration. And this is also the moment when we can, in another way, respond to a nature-based solution, but with other people too, artists and others.
I'm sorry, because we are going to do we are creating a toolkit, like a game, and then more or less a toolkit that how art can respond, or how can address environmental issues according to art and citizen, art citizen. And in the end of the project, to try to increase the capacities of different communities to try to address environmental challenge.
That's Chiara. She's
yes.
With this.
Thank you, Fran and Valerie. I don't know, Alicia, if there's anything that you would like to say in this closing. No?
Thank you all for your interest. It's the only thing I can say.
Yeah.
And thank you, Juan, for organizing this training. It has been very, very interesting. And it was also really nice to share with people that are not part of the project. And yeah, as I said, if you are interested in this process, please follow us on social networks or in the Art Living Lab project website. And thank you for coming.
Yeah.
That's great. The presentation and the recording will be shared. I mean, I've already shared with you, Alicia and Fran, the presentation, and the recording. When we stop, basically, I will send it to you, and you can share it openly in your networks. And for me, it has been a pleasure. It has been very nice to meet with you, to develop this session together. As Joe was saying, I think it's important to have this type of spaces with different topics to interact, not only among the people from the specific project, but also with other people that wants to connect. I think it's good to have these spaces. And maybe a suggestion from my side, also to Fran, Alicia, and everyone in Concomitentes and in this project, is about when you do a workshop, this one or any other, to try to plan also maybe a continuation of that, because maybe there's kind of a community that wants to continue exploring all of these topics. So that's kind of an idea. So yeah, thank you so much. I'd like maybe to invite you to put your mic, to open your mic, like this we can say goodbye. Everyone, we can hear everyone's voice.
Okay, and then thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Gracias.
See you another
All
time.
the best for you
Bye.
in the project.
Bye-bye.
Gracias. Besos por ahí. Chao, chao, chao.